I love one of my favorite, Dr. King was the one I think who hit me with this back in the old days, but the definition of communication. So does anybody ever remember? It's a very simple definition. What is the definition of communication? Ring a bell to anyone? Well, here's what it is. You'd think big fat books on communication has one simple phrase. The purpose and the purpose and goal of communication is to be understood. That's it. And the theory behind that is this, that if I'm communicating but you don't understand it, then I'm not communicating. If I'm talking and you don't understand it, then I'm not communicating. So when we formulate a question or we make a statement, we should go back to that old KISS theory, keep it as simple as much as possible, right? Because if my goal at the end of the day in asking a question is for you to understand the question I'm asking, we need to try to avoid these really complex ways that make us sound smart, where you say to somebody, you know, if you look at the DAA of the alpha of this product, what is the, you know, so you sound smart, but they don't understand the question that you're asking. What good was it? So that's another little point that I think is important to always be thinking, is that the purpose in this whole thing is to be understood. The question should be understandable. Sounding smart doesn't necessarily get you to the end goal. And I'll tell you a couple things as an example. One was, you know, I've had somebody to say in my world, I'm really concerned about the risk right now in the markets or whatever. And I go down this long dissertation about all the reasons why this is this. And they weren't talking about like the equity markets. They were talking about something completely different, but I never clarified it. And the part that was embarrassing that made me say never again was I probably went a solid 10 minutes without breathing. And the whole time I wasn't reading their body language, and they're dying for me to shut up because I've gone down the wrong road, right? And so, you know, those lessons really hit you, and you say, this one of my other really key points is always force yourself to ask the one more question than maybe you even feel like you should. Just one more clarifying question, one more, you know. So you say risk in the markets. Let's go a little deeper. What risk concerns you the most? I had an example one time. A lady came into my office who was in the middle of a divorce. And this is where I did it right, by the way, Chicken. I sat down with her and I said, I know this has got to be a stressful time. And I know going through a big change in life like this presents a lot of challenges. What one challenge, if you could get rid of it, would make life better right now? And by the way, let me clarify a couple things. That structure is, I want to narrow my question down as much as possible, where I say, what one thing? What if this were happen? When you leave it so broad, sometimes you leave people sitting there for too long without a direction. Help them. If you were to think of one person in your office that would also value our service, I brought them down. Now they can answer, right? So I asked, what one thing, if we could remove it, would make life better right now? And she sat there and she said, I think my son is on drugs, and if I don't do something, I'm going to lose him. That was never in my world of what we were going to talk about, but it's what we spent the rest of the hour on. I was able to find someone to help her and help him. But if I would have kept going down my normal route, or even started my meeting off with, let's talk about what financial things concern you the most, I may not have gotten that. And you can imagine if that was on her mind enough to actually say it to me at that moment, she wasn't going to listen to anything else I had to say anyway, because in the back of her mind, she's worried about her son. So that's the mistakes I've made, and that's the way I fix them, is I leave these things broad. I force myself into the one deeper question just to make sure, you know, and by the way, my follow-up question to her was, what makes you think that? What evidence have you gotten? Right? And then she could tell me the story about what it was that she saw. So those are the areas where I've really made the shift. And I wish I would have seen this a lot earlier, because I spent a lot of years going down the wrong routes and trying to solve problems that didn't exist. I have this great luxury in life that I get to wake up every day and I get to start my day off by saying, God, put me with the people you want me to be with to do the things you want me to do. And I let it go. And I get to go out and see who the heck shows up. And my only job is to delve in with the right questions to figure out what it is that they need that I'm supposed to be able to help bring. And it may have nothing to do with managing money. It may have nothing to do with finance. It may be an introduction to another person that can solve their problem.